Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Full-time MMA? Nothing else?
My life, man, yeah.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
And Curtis Razor Blaydes just defeated Alistair Overeem at UFC 225 in violent fashion and with a third-round TKO. And after that performance, that was the second legend of the heavyweight division Curtis Blaydes had defeated. And now Khabib Nurmagomedov, the UFC lightweight champion, is coming out and giving Curtis Blaydes a big cosign. And he's saying that he feels like there's only one man who can beat Curtis Blaydes in the heavyweight division, and it might not be who you're thinking. When I first heard that, I was like, oh, he must be talking about Stipe Miocic. Stipe is the current heavyweight champion, arguable greatest heavyweight of all time. Hell, with a win over Daniel Cormier, he just might become the greatest heavyweight of all time. But first, Stipe Miocic has to take on Daniel Cormier at UFC 226 coming up, and that's going to be a champion versus champion super fight. And the winner of that fight could very well be facing Curtis Blaydes next. And if that is the case, Khabib says, I only think one guy can beat him. I think Daniel Cormier, he can beat him. Other guys, even Stipe Miocic, I think for Stipe, he's a bad matchup because he pressures all the time and he has very good wrestling. That is what we saw out of Curtis Blaydes. He was able to take Mark Hunt, the KFC King, down 10 times in their fight, and he might not be the striker of a Mark Hunt or an Alistair Overeem, as they're some of the most decorated and experienced strikers in the heavyweight division. But he's always going to have that very high level wrestling in his back pocket to be able to take the fight to the ground if need be. He's also going to have cardio that a lot of other heavyweights don't. And Curtis Blaydes is only I believe 28 years old, so he's still got a long career ahead of him, as the heavyweights usually, you know, have a higher lifespan than a lot of other divisions. You know, we see a lot of the heavyweights fighting until they're 41, 42. Hell, you know, Randy Couture became the heavyweight champion at 45, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, the heavyweights, they usually fight a little longer. Curtis Blaydes is still very young in this game. He's only lost one time in his career, and it was to a doctor's stoppage, and it was in his UFC debut against Francis Ngannou. So with that being said, man, keep your eye on Curtis Blaydes. I too believe that he can be a future UFC heavyweight champion. Hell, I believe he will be. Now, is he going to get the next heavyweight title shot? We'll see what happens with that. Stay tuned, I'll keep you guys updated, but we could be seeing a potential title eliminator fight between Curtis Blaydes and Alexander Volkov at UFC Moscow. But if not, I think Curtis Razor Blaydes has made a case for a title shot. He beat Alexei Olenek, he beat Mark Hunt, and most recently Alistair Overeem, all three very experienced and talented heavyweights in the UFC. So with that being said, man, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. And as always, thanks for checking out this video. If you're new, or if you're just slipper slacking on your pimping, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to help support this independent channel, you can either click the PayPal button in the description, or you can go to patreon.com/fulltimemma and consider becoming a patron. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.